Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Philly Film Brothers podcast, an extension of DorkDaily.com. I am Chris Pierdomenico, joined here with my brother, Dave Pierdomenico. And today we're going to talk about something you might have heard of recently called the Avengers Infinity War. That's pretty big these days.
Is that like a thing coming out?
Yeah, the kids are really talking about it.
I feel like I've seen it like on YouTube or something.
Right. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty big.
There's a weird purple looking guy in it. I thought it was a reboot of Barney.
Yeah. No, Barney, come on, man. No. He looks like a reboot, which they also did.
They did do that.
They did a reboot. Yeah. But anyway, I digress. So today we're going to be talking about sort of our, as two, I want to say lifelong Marvel fans, but really kind of more so lifelong Marvel Cinematic Universe fans, which might tick off some people. But, I would say we've been pretty, true to the franchise since 08.
We've loved Marvel even before there was an MCU. I mean, I grew up on the X-Men cartoon in the 90s. True. And the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, the Bryan Singer X-Men series, with the exception of Last Stand and Origins Wolverine, but we just pretend those don't exist.
We've been following the MCU, for some time now, probably you more so than me. And I think the biggest question is, we know who's going to be in it. We have a general idea of the plot. This is a two-parter, but is it overhyped? Is it going to be any good?
Well, here's the issue going into it right away. This is arguably one of the top 3 most anticipated films of all time. It's 10 years in the making. The only time I can think of a film being more anticipated is maybe The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
I would even say The Dark Knight, but that was only anticipated for maybe a year. This has been building for a decade.
I was really waiting for you to say that was only anticipated by me.
No, the whole world was anticipating The Dark Knight. It's the greatest movie ever made. But we're here to talk about Marvel today.
Yeah. So it already has that sort of line up against, like, it's got to be good. It's almost like Force Awakens had to be good.
It did, and I think that's a very apt comparison. Is it's facing such hype, such anticipation, and the amount of pressure that's got to be on Marvel and really the Russo brothers,
right,
is insane.
Because I mean the guys, you have Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans. I mean, I'm pretty sure one of them's gonna die, if not both of them. But either way, they're on their way out. Like they've
made it clear that even if this isn't their last one, Avengers 4, which was originally called Infinity War Part 2, would be their last one. We don't know what it's going to be called right now.
But even if they never do a Marvel movie again, like, they're set for life.
They are. But at the same time, there's a lot going on in it.
And that's the thing. I mean, is it going to suffer? And to kind of go back to, Avengers Age of Ultron, was our last official Avengers movie. And I found it quite underwhelming. I mean, it really, and I that's the thing. I don't worry about Infinity War being bad, but I just think it,
You worry that it might just be okay.
Be meh, I'm not that, like, I feel like it's going to be good, but that would be my worry.
There's 2 reasons why. I mean, I'm concerned about it too, but there's 2 big reasons why it will not be a repeat of Age of Ultron.
Okay. Well, obviously, Joss Whedon is gone.
Joss Whedon is no longer part of it. I think, he's an entertaining filmmaker, but I think he's not very good at taking things seriously. I think that
that's what his teachers told him in school.
Yeah, everything is a joke with him. Everything is another quip, which, people love the first Avengers, seeing all the characters together, but what people forget about the first Avengers is it's very weak on plot.
Yeah.
Its only real saving grace is see all these characters together for the first time. And we are getting that with this one. We're seeing the Guardians of the Galaxy interact with Iron Man and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and Black Panther. We're seeing the characters that we've known and loved interact for the first time. But Whedon, as much as I like him as a filmmaker, we need look no further than the Justice League, and his take on. I know you didn't see that.
No, I was busy, man. I had stuff to do.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it felt like an okay, enjoyable superhero movie, and I think that's what you get with Joss Whedon.
You know who didn't enjoy that movie? Superman's mustache. It was cut out.
No, and neither did the fans that had to look at his weird face.
Yes.
For all their scenes, but we digress on DC.
Yes.
So
which is a great title for another podcast.
It would be Digressions on DC.
Digressions on DC. But yeah, I mean the first Avengers, I mean I know like the first time I saw the original Avengers, I mean there was this factor of wow, this is really really cool seeing all these characters together, and I said that it almost felt like a third act of a lot of these movies we'd already seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it really just kind of acted that way. And if you look at it as just a third act on its own, I mean, that's not really a full movie. I mean, it was still enjoyable.
I way back when, about a year ago, I made the mistake. My girlfriend had not seen really any of the MCU movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to go with her to see Spider-Man Homecoming because she liked the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. So I thought, oh, we have to catch up on all the MCU movies, but then I thought, oh, we don't have enough time, so let's just condense it. And I made the mistake of showing her Avengers without showing her the previous movies, and she hated it.
Yeah,
she said there's no action for like an hour and a half, and it's just because the movie relies so much on you liking these characters and seeing them interact that just as a movie it doesn't stand as well on its own.
The previous movies, act as an act one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I said Act 3 before. I guess it would be kind of more Act 2.
An Act 2 into an Act 3. But it.
And I think we had that with Age of Ultron, where it was just trying to be sort of. It's like, well, it's got to be as good as Avengers, but it can't be, and it felt very flat to me. I think there were really a lot of great wasted opportunities.
There were.
I love the idea of James Spader as Ultron. I thought he was fantastic.
I mean, Robert California is a killer robot. What more could you ask for?
I mean, look, there's not going to be many roles better than Robert California, but I mean, Ultron came kind of close.
It did.
And just in terms of writing, I mean, I thought the best part was, when they were on the farm and we start to slow down a little bit, we start to develop some characters, but it just felt like a big commercial for the next one.
It did, and that's the second reason I want to get to is the mistake Marvel made, and I really hope they've learned from it, is that they were using... The other movies are supposed to build up and tease Avengers movies, but they used Age of Ultron to tease Civil War, Black Panther, and Ragnarok.
Right.
Whereas I think the difference with Infinity War is, at least I hope they wouldn't try to use this to build other movies. There's so much going on here. Plus, this is the movie everything has been building towards.
Right. But, I mean, originally, I believe Thanos was going to be the villain in the second Avengers. That was the idea. At least they alluded to that at the end of the first Avengers.
They did, but then, at the same time, I think Ultron lost a lot of his merit and gravitas when you realized he was just an Act 2 of a 3-act Avengers series. He suddenly lost a bit of his weight when you just knew, oh, he's just a filler villain until we get to Thanos.
Filler villain, the saddest type of villain. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good point, and I think, and hopefully Marvel Studios has kind of learned from the sort of the meat. I mean, I think Age of Ultron is it's not a bad movie, but I
no,
think
it's certainly not bad.
It's certainly watchable, but it's
just not great.
And I think now people certainly will have a reason to be pissed if Infinity War is not.
Oh, they will be with its anticipation, but I think it's in good hands. You have the Russo brothers directing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joss Whedon wanted to be done after Age of Ultron. He had a bad experience with Marvel sort of interfering behind the scenes, and that's a lot for one person. I think the Russo brothers can handle it better, and I think Marvel's learned their lesson, but you could not have better people in charge of that movie than them.
And kind of in that way, I mean, we know how much you love Winter Soldier.
It's the best movie in the whole MCU, and it's Exhibit 1, or Exhibit A, of why Infinity War would be good. Exhibit B, Civil War.
Okay.
The Russos have proved that they can still keep Marvel's lighthearted, fun tone that they're so known for. You know, it's the thing they always criticize DC. Everything's too dark and Nolan-ish. Marvel's supposed to be more fun, lighthearted. They can keep that tone while also going dark and going serious when they need to. Civil War did an excellent job of taking itself seriously and having very tense, even somber moments, especially with Cap and Iron Man's fight at the end.
Well, you know, it's funny. Civil War felt like Avengers 3.
It did, and that was the work of the Russo brothers.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of like it does conclude, not conclude, but it does further, I think, Cap's story more than the others. But
that's why it's a Cap film.
But aside from that, it's Avengers 3.
I mean, it's basically it's basically an Avengers movie.
You know, and so that does give me hope for
Infinity
War. And I mean, how are they going to fit in all these characters though? I mean,
I think what might disappoint people is not every character is going to have an arc, but every character will be present. Whereas in any normal big budget superhero movie, you have an array of very small minor characters doing minor small things in the movie. Mm-hmm. The difference is in Infinity War, even the minor characters will be famous ones we know already from previous movies.
Right.
They just might not get that big a part.
You know what I'm curious about is what are they going to do other than fight in the movie?
You know, that is an excellent question.
Because I look back and I'm like, you know, let's look at the first Avengers. Highlight as characters meet for the first time. It's interesting, and there's, you know, they're kind of fighting among each other. But it's like, who are they fighting? What's the name of those?
Chitauri.
Which really we're kind of, these are sort of the villains from the first one kind of coming back in a way.
Very much so. It was Thanos' army.
But I don't know the one Chitauri from another, you know, like that. It wasn't really that.
Apparently in the new one, they are the Chitauri 2.0.
Are they really? Oh,
I don't know. They just
They got the Apple software update.
They to be honest, they weren't all that threatening in the first one.
Yeah.
And just from what I've seen in the trailers, the aliens in Infinity War, they almost look like the xenomorphs from Alien.
Oh, okay.
That's just kind of, I mean, we're only seeing brief glimpses of them, but when I see them, that's where my mind goes. That's what I think it resembles a little bit.
Well, you know, I think they don't really have much of a face in the first one. We don't really, like the face of the villains in the first one's Loki, which is, you know, hey, great. You know, Age of Ultron, I mean, they're fighting these sort of mindless robots. It kind of harkens back to, like, Star Wars Episode 1. They're like, oh, we're just going to kill robots. Okay, we're going to...
And in a way, this feels like it could be more of the same, where, oh, we're just fighting generic alien soldiers.
Right. It's like those video games where the enemies keep repopulating out of the pot or whatnot.
So there is a challenge here.
So, but what, you know... I just wonder what like, obviously they have to, you know, stop Thanos, but you know, I'm hoping they do something different than, okay, let's just fight a whole lot, because I watch action movies and I like the action parts, but you know, I'm more interested in the characters. And hopefully, I mean, the Russo brothers have proven themselves before, and
they have, and what I mean, at least where I hope this one goes, it's called Infinity War. I hope it has sort of the feel of a war movie. Not just, I mean, yes, in a war movie, it's all, you know, there's a lot of fighting and action.
Back in Nam.
But I almost want this to be like the Saving Private Ryan of the MCU. Because war movies it's not just about the fighting. It's about the characters. Essentially, in what I want to see in Infinity War is, I want to see these characters challenged, and I want to see them forced to make decisions they don't want to have to make.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably what made Civil War so good. It was difficult seeing characters you loved turn on each other, and what I would hope in this one is, I mean, I know Marvel's been criticized for not having the guts to kill off anybody, except for Quicksilver, R.I.P.
Well, I was gonna say if they kill off somebody, it should be a character they just introduce that nobody cares about.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that will go over very well. And then Fox can introduce the same character in the next
They can just bring
next
them
X-Men
back.
movie. Yeah.
But I want them to have the guts to kill people off, and maybe we could even get a moment where a decision Iron Man or Cap has to make results directly in someone dying, but it was a decision they had to make.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to see out of this one. I want to see them go even darker than they did in Civil War, because I mean that it's a war movie. That's what it's supposed to be.
Here's another question. This is just totally off the top of my head. So, Guardians of the Galaxy are a big factor into this film, and that is quite. I mean, the world of Guardians of the Galaxy almost. It's almost like its own different world in a lot of ways, with its own rules and
very much so.
To kind of bring it into the realism of like the Iron Man or Captain America movies. It's a bit. I mean, I don't know if it's really been done before. I mean, it's gonna be the tone is gonna have to be handled very delicately, because you have James Gunn is also a great creative mind, and he's very different from the Russo brothers in a lot of ways.
Very much so.
And I heard he actually wrote maybe all the Guardians dialogue.
Yeah, I heard that they trust him with those characters the most, and why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So I guess my first question with that is, we're led to believe that the people in space either all speak English. And I've read, I think even James Gunn has said as well, Star-Lord has a translator embedded in his head or something, so that's how we hear them in English. But first of all, why do their mouths match their words? And second, how is Gamora and Rocket going to communicate with Iron Man? 'Cause I think that's a pretty big inconsistency. Maybe nobody cares about this.
I do care about it, but what I'm telling you, this inconsistency goes a whole lot deeper than you realize. How is it that Thor speaks English up on Asgard?
Because we know that all Asgardians are British.
That's when Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor movie, he made it clear that they were proper Englishmen.
Was very, very clear from the beginning.
So you have them speaking perfect English with each other and understanding humans on Earth, but then at the same time, in the Incredible Hulk film, there's a scene where Bruce Banner mistranslates something in Portuguese. He's hiding in Brazil and he's trying to speak Portuguese, but he's saying the wrong words, and it's funny because he doesn't know how to speak it right. So how can you reconcile that over here, where on Earth a man from America has trouble speaking Portuguese in Brazil, yet these aliens from deep space can just come on Earth and speak English?
I can actually solve that. Nobody cares about the Incredible Hulk movie.
Oh, that's why. I see. Okay.
Nobody cares about it.
It's the forgetful one out of them all.
Right. No, we love Incredible Hulk. Don't get me wrong. We love the character, but just that movie.
It deserves more credit than it gets.
I suppose. So.
And Abomination is still alive, and we need to see him again.
Okay. So it'll be interesting how they reconcile that. What are they talking, like 2.5 hours? It's not 3 hours, is it? Are we talking Lord of the Rings territory or what?
I mean, it almost has to be just to fit everything in there. Yeah. But back on your point about the Guardians, they have a natural transition into this world. They're coming to Earth. They're the only ones that have a real knowledge of Thanos, especially Gamora and Nebula.
Right, yeah.
So they do have sort of a natural way to ease themselves into the storyline with the rest of the characters.
Totally agree. I think, it does make sense that, okay, the Avengers are fighting a Guardians of the Galaxy villain essentially, and that's why it totally makes sense. And the way that was set up, I think, with the Guardians movies and kind of just hinting at Thanos, I think was really, really cool.
He's in Guardians for a little bit.
But my question is, he does a great job sitting on John. But my question is, how do they understand each other's languages?
I'm going to tell you the same thing I've been saying for years. They don't care, and they think that the audience doesn't care. It's the same reason why in the first Captain America, and it bugged me to death, why are German characters speaking English to other German characters? Yet in X-Men First Class, they were speaking German with English subtitles.
That was pretty cool. That's
how it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. It's hard to take Hydra and Red Skull seriously when he's speaking English to other German officers.
Right.
That would be the equivalent
they were just showing off.
But that would be the equivalent of Cap speaking German to Tommy Lee Jones' character. Even though they're American, why would they be speaking German? It's just ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I feel like you're opening a door we shouldn't go down today.
You opened the door, man. I was okay realizing that I was like one of the only people that cared about this problem, but you brought it up. But now on to something even more important we've been hinting at. Let's talk about Thanos.
Okay. Yeah.
Marvel has, they've gotten better, especially over their films of the last year. They've gotten better, but they've been known to have a bit of a problem with villains.
They have.
Villains who are just very generic, who just want to destroy the world just 'cause. I'm looking at you, Malekith from the Dark World. I'm looking at you, Ronan from the first Guardians. I'm even kind of looking at a little bit Loki in Avengers.
But he had the shiny stick of destiny.
He did. Fair enough. The best Marvel villains have been the ones that you kind of understand where they're coming from, and they're well developed. And the fact that Thanos' goal is to just wipe out half the universe, and the fact that I know you're gonna say it, but it bugs me. I hate that he's CGI.
Yeah, no, I actually completely agree with you. That does bug me.
I like Justice League, but one of my biggest pet peeves with it is that Steppenwolf was all CGI and he looked like a video game.
Well, see, when I watch my Marvel movies, when I watch any, this is something commonly done. CGI is just, it's easier, it's cheaper,
But it doesn't.
See, when I watch my movies, especially my Marvel movies, I like to pretend I'm playing a video game.
Oh, I see.
Without a controller. And
like you're watching a cutscene.
I'm watching a cutscene
from a video
Final
game.
Fantasy 11 or something. Okay. That's going way back a little bit.
You're really dating yourself there.
It's the last time I played one of those games. But I
think the first one we played was 7.
Yeah.
Back in like the 90s.
So I think that is distracting, and I think that's something the audience just kind of forgives. I want. Is there a point to the motion capture? I'm sure there is. Don't get me wrong, but I don't couldn't they do? I get that if you look at Golem, Lord of the Rings, there's no way, without going on too much of a tangent, there was no way that character.
No, there wasn't.
You know.
But here's the thing about motion capture. It doesn't. All motion capture does is it makes it easier for the visual effects department to create those CG effects.
Yeah.
Because they have movements to follow and track. But it doesn't make the CGI look any more realistic. All it does is it makes their movements look natural. But it doesn't... I'm still convinced I've never seen a CGI effect that I was fooled by, that I wasn't able to immediately tell. That's CGI, and it's distracting me a little bit that I know it's not really there.
We should talk about that on another show, but
that could be a whole episode.
I would say there was only one that I thought was pretty convincing.
What's that?
Was Tarkin. I thought. In some scenes, I thought it was pretty convincing.
You're referring to Rogue One.
Rogue One, yeah.
See, and I thought Tarkin looked terrible, and he looked like Jim Carrey from A Christmas Carol.
Oh, boy.
They would have done better to just have Guy Henry
Yeah.
in makeup.
So, point being, so Thanos, okay, we're not going to get away from the fact that he's CGI.
We're not, and I've accepted that. He doesn't...
Now, that being said, you know...
He can still be a good villain.
Ultron 2 was CGI, and aside from, I think, the poor writing, I thought that, you know, just James Spader, I mean, carried that character, and maybe we'll see the same with Josh Brolin.
We can only hope.
But, I mean, we don't... I remember reading them saying that, you know, a big portion of the movie is just kind of figuring out, like, who Thanos is, because we really... You know, he's sitting in the recliner in one of the movies, and the other movie he's just grinning. You know, and the other one he's whining about the Infinity Stones, and we
haven't gotten that much with him.
And I think with that there's not really much at stake yet, and hopefully the beginning of Infinity War will see that.
Well, from what I've heard, at least from what the Russos have said, I mean, this is going. I read an article. This is like a year or two ago that mentioned that. At least at one point, the idea was Thanos would be the protagonist.
Okay.
That it would almost feel like this is the Thanos movie because he's the one driving all the plot. He's the one driving all the action. I don't know how true that is or how much that's held up since, but you do need to focus on Thanos. The most important thing is we, the audience, need to feel like he is different from the other villains. We need to feel like there's something that separates him from the Malekiths or the Ronins,
right,
of the past.
And I couldn't tell you. Like, I remember Ronin. I think I remember the name because it sounds like a character out of Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
But
you don't remember anything about him, do you?
I don't remember anything. He was blue.
He was blue, and he wanted to destroy the planet.
And there's like 4 blue characters in
hard to keep track of
in the Guardians series. So they have a lot of catching up to do with Thanos.
They do,
and I think. Since this whole thing is really centered around him, I mean, they gotta make him good. And I will say, I have really liked what I've seen of him in the trailers.
I have too. He seems menacing. He seems like he's got some characterization to him.
Yeah.
The big mistake I think Marvel's made so far, though, is why haven't we seen more of him until now?
I don't know.
When I first heard the lineup of films, I thought... I mean, Ragnarok, obviously, you know, I knew way back when I heard the title. Ragnarok in Norse mythology refers to the destruction of Asgard. I thought, oh, well, there's our opportunity. Thanos is going to be in Ragnarok. He's going to destroy Asgard to get one of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
That was a huge missed opportunity. As much as I liked Cate Blanchett's Hela as the villain... Why wasn't Thanos involved with the destruction of Asgard? Why weren't we, the audience, given a chance to get to know him as a villain then? At least with Loki in the first Avengers, we liked him as a villain because we had already gotten to know him from the first Thor.
No, very true. And
it's a huge missed opportunity, and I blame Kevin Feige.
Well, you know, that's the past. It's done, and, you know, most of those movies worked out well, so... It's kind of on Infinity War to, you know, to make us care. But, you know, I think lately we've seen a lot of really good villains in the Marvel Universe. You know, we saw Killmonger, Vulture, you know, as of recently. And
it's been just the past year. They've kind of done a lot to fix that problem.
And, you know, it's interesting. These are, you know, Killmonger and Vulture, these are regular guys that, you know, they have access to some powers or some technology. But they're regular guys, and they were very threatening villains. And so I think if Thanos is anything less than that, that's going to be very disappointing.
We almost need to... in Infinity War, we almost need to kind of almost sympathize with Thanos and understand why he wants to destroy the universe.
And why only half? Like, is it like is one half like the Jersey side or what?
Yeah, well, clearly, and a lot of people don't realize this. He doesn't want to destroy the whole universe because he lives in it.
Right. So it's like, why would you destroy your house?
He's only here's what happened. It's a true story. Way back in the day, Thanos bought a ticket to see Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie with Dolph Lundgren from the 80s.
Dolph Lundgren, yeah.
And he hated it so much, he's destroying the half of the universe that's from. and because that was a movie from Earth, that's why it's included on the list.
I think that was the most pointless tangent I've heard today.
I was going for the record.
Yeah, that was wow. Anyway, so any final thoughts? I guess before we're gonna be seeing Infinity War a number of days. And then we will actually be back here to kind of talk about it, get our initial reactions after seeing the movie. Any thoughts? Any final thoughts before we see it?
Like I said, I really hope Thanos is a worthwhile villain, but I'm putting a lot of faith and trust in the Russo brothers. Twice before, they've wowed me with Winter Soldier and Civil War, and I think if anyone is going to pull off this movie, it's them. And maybe the reason why Joss Whedon couldn't handle all the pressure was he's only one person. Maybe it's actually better that there's two of them.
Maybe it's better
split the responsibilities.
Maybe it's better that it's brothers, eh?
I knew you were going to go for a weird sibling tie-in.
Well, it's the name of the podcast, so...
It's reasons like this that it took us a half hour to pick a name for this podcast.
Yeah. Well,
I just wanted them to know.
I'm happy with the name, so we're gonna stick with it just for a while. So anyway, so we will see everyone again after we see Infinity War.
You mean they'll be hearing us again?
They'll be hearing us. You'll be hearing us again, right? Still getting used to not being on video, but
I know it's weird.
One more thing is that I really hope that they have their helmets on for at least part of the movie. Because look, everyone wants to have their face seen. I'm sure it's in their contract that they have their face seen a certain number of minutes and seconds in the movie. But it's like, look, if you're fighting the most powerful being in the universe, most powerful villain,
you bring your helmet.
You bring your helmet. Public service announcement. Fight the bad guy.
Wear
your helmet. Don't get a concussion.
Listen to Will Smith about that.
Right.
Tell the truth.
We'll see you next time.